for this second invitation to have this session together with your community. And I believe this webinar is going to help them, especially in their quest for employability. Like you have said, this is an employability webinar. And just like the way your objectives as an organization are to work with professionals that journey towards achieving their professional and career goals, I believe this webinar is going to be of benefit to you as and your community as you're working through that journey. Just like the way Sheila said, my name is Shim, talent consultant with an organization called Profiles International, whose objective and goal is basically to help organizations unlock the full potential of its people. Because once they have unlocked the full potential of its people, that's when the organization can begin to realize its goals and business and desired business outcomes. So one of the ways that we do this, of course, it is through emotional intelligence. And the organization that has worked for has actually trained me in emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence has become a buzzword. Everyone is aware of it. Everyone has had it at one point in time. So I believe this webinar is going to give you more clarity. And basically, the aim of this webinar is to give you an awareness of this, I can call it a superpower, which once you have managed to harness it to the maximum, you can use it as a tool to achieve your career objectives and also your professional objectives, leveraging emotional intelligence towards positive interview outcomes. Emotional intelligence is a very, very powerful tool. Once you have mastered it, then basically you can achieve a lot of the objectives that you have, regardless of where you are, be it you're looking for employment, whether you are a leader, whether you are in sales, even at home when you're dealing with your family, your spouse, and your children. It's a very important tool that will enable you achieve the outcomes that you so desire. And we are talking about positive outcomes. So, like I said, this is an employability webinar. It is designed to empower you to leverage emotional intelligence so that you can get positive interview outcomes. Many people are attending interviews day in, day out, but they're not getting the outcomes that they want. And one of the reasons that they might not attain the outcomes they want is because there is a lack of emotional intelligence on part of the interviewee. Of course, you might have technical expertise. You have all the academic papers. Umesoma kabisa, you have gone to the best institutions. But I've met very many people who have failed to secure that job despite having the papers, the expertise, and the know-how, academic background, but still they are facing a challenge securing an employment. This is because whenever you are looking for a job, the interviewer is not just considering if you can do the job. The interviewer is not just considering if you have the skills to do the job. One important thing that they are looking at, of course, they are looking at your technical skills. But other than that, they are looking at, can I trust you? Can I trust you with this opportunity? Can I trust you with the responsibilities that I'm going to give you? Can I trust you that if I employ you, I am not going to be disappointed? Many people think interviews are about checking if you are technically fit, if you have the right knowledge, the right skills. Yes, all of those are very important. But technical skills and technical knowledge only secure you the interview. But once you are able to demonstrate that you are trustworthy, that is what is going to secure for you that job. Technical skills only secure the interview, but trust secures the job. And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. And in this webinar, we are going to see the role emotions play in determining whether we are going to be trusted or not. Yeah. So most interviews are not just knowledge tests, they are also trust assessments. They are in that short span of an interview. You must convince the interviewer that you are someone who can be trusted. Yes, you have the papers, that's why they call you. You have the papers, you have the technical skills. Organizations do a lot of background checks. Yeah, so that one is a tick. You have, by the time you're being called for an interview, it is not a test of whether you have the skills. That one has already been determined that you have the skills. But now the next question is, can we trust you? Once you answer that question positively, then you are on your way to securing that job. So every interview, unconsciously, the interviewer is asking, can I trust this person? Are you genuine? Will you fit in my culture? And will you represent my organization well? Or am I going to be disappointed? So, like I said, technical expertise gets you into the interview room, but emotional intelligence is what determines whether you are going to be trusted or not. So, interviewers don't hear your emotions, they see. Those emotions determine one critical question: can I trust this person? So, how do emotions influence what interviewers evaluate? We have already established that interviewers, one of the things they evaluate, of course, they're going to be evaluating your technical skills, one here, the here and there. They're going to be asking questions related to your skills, but also in that space of asking you questions, they want to determine, can I trust you? So how do emotions influence what the interviewers evaluate, which is a trust assessment? Your emotions determine your facial expressions. Your facial expressions are determined by your emotions. If you are sad, your face is going to show. You can't hide it. If you're angry, you can picture someone who's angry. Have you been interacted with someone who's angry? Just look at the face. You already know if he's angry or not. Yeah, there are these organizations that when you want to go and see the boss on a Monday morning, you first ask the secretary, ameingiaje leo? Ulimwona aje? Amekuwa amekasirika ama nini? So your face is able to show whether you're angry or not. So your facial expressions is a reflection of the emotions that you are currently experiencing. So if your expressions are showing warmth, confidence, and sincerity, yeah, if you have positive facial expressions, they demonstrate warmth, confidence, and sincerity. For example, when you are tense, it creates those forced smiles. Everyone knows those forced smiles. You just look like you're just forcing yourself to smile, but in reality, you don't want. You're angry inside. But when you're calm, it's just that genuine ease that you have that is easily detectable by the person you are interacting with. Also, your emotions reflect the tone of voice. You can imagine a point whereby you are angry. Was your voice soft? Was it still? Or was it loud? Were you or were you not shouting? So your tone of voice signals either confidence, authenticity, or enthusiasm. The way you speak. If you're happy, it will just signal enthusiasm. You'll just feel the energy. For example, if fear creates a shaky and a quiet voice, and this is what some of the things interviewers are able to detect from the tone of voice, they can already determine the kind of person you are. Yeah, there is this exercise that we usually have in Genos International, but I'm going to change it a little bit for this webinar. I don't know. I'm going to take you back to high school or primary school. And how many of you had a teacher that you really like? You really enjoyed the lessons. And also there's this other teacher you really didn't like. So you can begin to understand when the teacher that you really liked, when they entered into the room, what did you feel? You can even just share on the chat. Imagine that teacher that you really liked when you're in high school or in primary school. The moment you walked into the class, how did you feel? Yeah, you can just share on the chat if you're able to recall. Of course, I'm taking you back to high school or even campus, college. Yeah. Also, you can imagine that teacher you really never had a good experience with. You never really liked. Whenever they entered into the room and they start speaking, how did you feel? Yeah. Those are the impacts. That is the impact that emotions have on people. Yeah. So you might be, whenever you enter into a room for an interview, whether you know it or not, you might have the same impact that your worst teacher had on you. Yeah. Of course, I can see people there. Yeah. Sheila was excited whenever that teacher that she really liked entered into the room. Joy, when you see the teacher you really like, of course. So you see, that teacher had an impact on you. Mercy is saying excitement and eagerness with the teacher I loved. So whenever they entered into the room, you're already feeling excitement. You're feeling joy. Yeah. You feel settled. As one said, I feel settled, peace, calm. There is no fear. That is a very good, very good, Also, Rose saying the unliked teacher was just stressed already. Just, yeah, tiredness, wishing the time to end, of course. So you can see from this example, any interaction you have with someone, yeah, there is an emotional feeling that you get. Yeah. And so this emotional experience is not just limited to the classroom, it's also present in the interview room. Some people, when they enter into the interview room and they start to speak, or just by the look of their face, they have that negative emotion on the interviewer. And the moment you leave the room, the panel, they're talking to themselves, how you miss him feel. Yes, you have the technical skills. That's why you were called into the interview in the first place. But you had a negative impact. You gave them a negative emotional experience, which sometimes, unfortunately, is interpreted as untrustworthy. That is the impact emotions have on the people you are interacting with. So in order to have a positive interview outcome, you must strive the moment you enter into that interview room, you elicit a positive emotional experience on the interviewees. Yeah, that is the power of emotions. Emotions can make your career, and also they can sabotage your career. Yeah, and that is why emotional intelligence is very, very important. And that is why also your career is at the mercy of the level of your emotional intelligence. Thank you very much for those who have participated. And those also, there are more exercises are going to come in the course of this webinar. So just stay along and you're going to learn a lot. So your emotions also influence your body language. Just the way you enter into the room. For example, if you're fidgeting, it shows nervousness. Open posture shows confidence. Okay, so your body language reveal get me well. I've just gotten a signal that my connection might not be that good. So also your emotions influence the level of eye contact, whether you make eye contact or not. When you avoid making eye contact, yeah, it signals something negative. Yeah, avoiding eye contact suggests insecurity. Yeah, eye contact conveys honesty, confidence, and presence. That's what interviewers see when you enter into the room. When you make that eye contact, yeah, it shows that you're confident. There is nothing you're hiding. Yeah, it shows that you're a honest person, and it demonstrates your presence. Yeah. So these are some of the things that really, these are the dynamics that play into the interview room and you are not aware. Listening ability shows respect, focus, and emotional intelligence. Example, if you're interrupting and tuning out, shows self-focus, right? Another thing that your emotions affect is your speech pace, the space of your speech. It reflects self-control under pressure. For example, if you're rushing, it signals that you are anxious. And a steady pace builds trust. Unaenda tu mdogo mdogo, hauna haraka, hauna pressure. Yeah, the way you speak, unaona tu hauna pressure, there is no fear. That signals confidence in you. And that when it signals confidence, then the interviewer, they begin to trust you. They pick those signals and they start getting a positive feeling. You can even see sometimes they start nodding your head. Yeah, nodding their head. It shows that gives you a sign that they're already having a positive experience with you. Even your choice of words, the words that you choose, are determined by your emotions. It demonstrates confidence. Your choice of words demonstrates confidence and ownership. For example, I led this project versus I was lucky, I was just lucky. For example, when you are being told about your experience and a project that you run, yeah, if you feel like if you say that I was just lucky to run that project, it shows a lack of confidence in you. But if you just come out and say I led this project and it was successful, it signals confidence. And once that it signals confidence, now they begin to trust you. Even your emotions influence the decisions you make. It shows how you think under pressure. Sometimes they might ask you questions that trigger you. Yeah? Sometimes they make you feel angry a little bit. Yeah. So impulsive answers signal stress. Thoughtful answers build trust. All right. Also, authenticity is determined by your emotions. In fact, authenticity is one of the competencies of emotional intelligence. This determines whether the interviewer believes you. Honest answers builds credibility. So once in a while, they are going to be asking you questions and they're going to see the consistency of the answers. Okay. So if your answers are inconsistent, yeah, if you are tense, you might give some inconsistent answers. Perhaps you are very genuine, but because you are tense, you might give some inconsistent answers in a rush to show you that you are better or you're competent. It might lead to over exaggerating some achievements that you had, and that will show some inconsistencies in your answers, which can signal mistrust to the interviewer. Also, your energy and presence. There are people when they just walk into the room, you have just looked at that exercise. When your favorite teacher entered into the room, the atmosphere just changed. That is a sign that whenever that teacher interacts with you, they elicit positive emotions within you. Trust, joy, and because of those positive emotions, you are able to connect and really benefit from that course. I'm very sure that teacher that you really liked, I'm very sure that you passed that exam. I'm very sure. If you didn't pass that exam, just let me know on the chat. You really liked that teacher, but you ended up failing. If you ended up failing, inamaanisha ulikuwa na mambo yako. But in most cases, if you just look, you must have passed that exam because you connected with that person. You gave them your full attention, and because you had connected and given them your full attention, you were able to receive and retain everything that they were teaching you. But when the teacher that you don't like, when they entered into the room, you just zone out. You just start looking at the clock. Yeah, you are easily distracted here and there. Yeah, because there is no connection. So you have the same effect when you enter into the interview room. You change the environment, the energy in the room. Yeah, can be low energy, creates doubt. Positive energy creates conviction. Interviewers, they're able to pick on that energy that you're bringing into the room. And if it's positive energy, chances are you're going to land that job. If it's negative energy, watasema huyu miss him feel, will just get in touch with you and you never hear from them again. But I believe that shall not be your case. All right, so let us look at just a few emotions that sabotage the interview. Remember, we said that even if there are people who have technical expertise, is very good, but emotions are sabotaging the outcomes of those interviews. Yeah, and one of the major culprits, one of the major emotions that sabotage interviews is anxiety. That is the fear of failure. Yeah, how does it show up? You are very confident, you are very good, but because you are anxious, you are kind of like anxious. Will I get this? I really need. Will I make it? Will I succeed in this interview? It shows up in how you speak. Yeah, it shows by a shaky voice, fast speech. You're overthinking answers. You blank mind. Sometimes you just black out, or you forget examples. You're fidgeting. Your body language is restless. You appear tense and uncomfortable. Yeah, that signals negative energy to the interviewers. What it causes is that poor first impression. You make a very poor first impression. It's even affecting your speech, the way you're constructing your words. Yeah, it gives a poor first impression. And they say image is everything. The first impression is very important in determining whether you succeed in that job or not. Find it hard to connect or build rapport with the interviewers. The answers feel disorganized. Yes, you have points, but they're not connecting together. Yeah, so it shows disorganization. The interviewer questions your confidence under pressure. So what typically causes it? High pressure to get the job. Yeah, you are under high pressure to get the job. fear of being judged or rejected. In fact, fear of being rejected is a major contributor. Lack of preparation is also a contributor, and past negative experiences also can give you that anxiety. That anxiety shows that it gives negative energy to the interviewer, and they might not end up taking you. Another important common saboteur of interviews is the emotion called self-doubt. Self-doubt, you minimize your achievements. You use weak feelers like I'm not sure, maybe, I don't know. You start using those words. You apologize unnecessarily. You seek constant reassurance. You avoid eye contact. It signals low confidence. And just like I said, there are people who are very good in their job. They have the technical expertise, but they are suffering from these negative emotions that are sabotaging their career. What does it cause? It undervaluing your capabilities. You get less trust from the interviewer, missed opportunities to showcase strengths, and seen as uncertain or unprepared. You always appear unprepared or uncertain. You see, the interviewer is like, I don't know. After you have left the room, for those who have been in interview, are like, I'm not very sure. The vibe I got from that one, he was like, he was not, he doesn't know himself. I'm uncertain about this one. So you end up getting, it ends up sabotaging that interview. Also, what are some of the things that cause this emotion of self-doubt? One is comparing yourself to others. You're seeing your friends succeeding and you're just there. You start doubting yourself. You start doubting your capabilities. Yeah. You start seeing yourself like you are not capable. You have the technical expertise, but because your friends are succeeding, your friends are landing jobs, your friends are being promoted na wewe bado haujapata job, you start undermining yourself. You start doubting yourself. You start seeing yourself like you're not up to the task. And when you're in an interview, the interviewer, they pick these signals. They say that this guy is not confident, he's not able to do this job. Because the energy, the emotions your energy is portraying is like you're not confident, you're not up to the task because of some of those experiences that people have. Yeah. So another emotion is imposter syndrome. Basically, imposter syndrome is an acute, it is a chronic outcome of self-doubt. This is whereby even the good things that you have achieved, they start appear like nibahati too. Those things, I don't know if you've ever been in such a situation. You achieved very incredible outcomes, but later on, you say, hey, fluke. That was a fluke. It's not like it really came out from me. Yeah, you start downplaying skills and experiences. Your credits lack instead of ability. You feel like you're an imposter. You feel like you are a fraud. Yeah, you over prepare but still feel unqualified. Yes, you are good. You over prepare, but even when you go to the interview, you still feel unqualified. You are hesitant to speak with authority. Yeah, because you are downplaying yourself. That authority of the achievements that you've had, they don't come out strongly during that interview. This emotion sabotages. It is sabotaging very many people, even people in middle management, people who are already in careers. This emotion is a big saboteur of their career success. You achieve very many things, but you feel like it is a fluke. Yeah. What does it cost? It prevents you from owning your value. You don't portray your real value. It limits your influence and impact. You are unable to influence the interviewer. It also weakens your negotiation. Even if you get the job, you ask, how much do you expect? Say you purchase to 20K. And yet you have achieved a lot of things. How much do you want? Ile tu mtaona tu. Vile tu utaona tu ni sawa. You know, those people give you that kind of answer. And yet you have achieved a lot. The interviewer, they have perhaps seen that this guy could be the sign that he's good, but he's not very sure. But should they decide to take you, they are going to give you a very poor salary. Yeah. So it also can lead to underemployment or passed over opportunities. This thing is also affecting people already employed. Whenever promotion comes, they are overlooked. Yeah. Because they don't portray that confidence. You know, I achieved this. But then, do you know, I managed to bring our sales of 2 million Kenya shillings last week. They are afraid to say that. They are not confident in themselves. Yeah. So what typically causes this? Early life or career experiences. There are those people who are used to being criticized until they feel like they are not worthy, they are not capable. Yeah. And realistic standards. They put unrealistic standards on themselves. There are those people who put unrealistic standards on themselves. Ati, unless nifike 10 million, bado sijafanya kitu. Internalized criticism. There are those people who criticize themselves. Culture of comparison, comparing yourself with others. If you're in an environment whereby people are succeeding and you are not moving and at the same pace, you start downplaying yourself, and also lack of feedback and valuation. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize these negative emotions, to understand why am I experiencing these negative emotions, and then being in a position to manage those emotions, while also recognizing and understanding and influencing the emotions of others. So already you can see emotional intelligence is a very powerful skill. You're first able to recognize and manage your own emotions, and also being in a position whereby you're able to recognize and influence the emotions of others. I've just given you that situation in the interview room. Through confidence, you're able to influence the interviewers to take you in, yeah, to employ you and to give you that job. So that is what emotional intelligence is: the ability to influence, to manage yourself and your emotions, and also being in a position whereby you can influence the emotions of others positively so that you can get positive outcomes. So you can see it's the number one human advantage. It's a very important advantage. And in fact, when you look at there was a research done by TalentSmart on the most successful people in this globe, in business, in leadership, in politics, in sports, in industry, in career. Those are research done by TalentSmart. And it discovered that the top performers in all various sectors, 90% had a high level of emotional intelligence. That means 90% of them are people who are able to manage their emotions so that they can give positive outcomes, and also they were able to influence the emotions of others. That is why they emerged to become very successful. So you can already see the power that is behind emotions. Emotions can make and break your career. Emotions can influence the outcomes that you get from other people. Yeah. So another research that was done by TalentSmart, it states that 58% of your job performance for those people who are employed, 58% of your job performance is influenced by your level of emotional intelligence. That was a very their job, but their performance is not up to date. And I can give you one good example. There is an emotion called self-doubt, or it's called the fear of failure. There's an emotion called the fear of failure. When you have that fear of failure, you're always postponing. When you are given a task, given at work, you tend to postpone because you are afraid of failing. You tend to postpone, and when you continue having that behavior of postponing, carrying out of tasks, you have been given an assignment, but you keep on postponing. Those people who have been in employment or people in leadership, you must have noticed that behavior. You give an employee a task. Have you done it? Bado. I'm going to give it. Have you done it? Bado. That emotion is called fear of failure, okay? Or lack of confidence in yourself. And if you look at that person, they passed very well in school. They had very good grades. They went to very good institutions. But because of one reason or another, it could be an experience they had in their childhood, or that in an environment whereby people are doing very well. Yeah, you discover that such a person begins to lose confidence in themselves. You get that person is afraid of failing because they were in an environment when they were children that if you fail, you are heavily criticized or you are heavily punished. So you are afraid of failing. And because you are afraid of failing, you are postponing. You don't want to fail. So you say, I'll do it. You just keep on postponing. And if this habit continues, you start procrastinating. It's called procrastination. Yeah, you keep on procrastinating tasks. Even you yourself, you might have had an idea. You have an idea to do, very good idea, business idea, but you keep on procrastinating on doing it. Yeah, it is sabotaging your success. It is sabotaging your performance. So if you are employed and you keep on postponing, yeah, you start missing deadlines. When deadlines are missed, it can affect customer satisfaction. So you can see it is already affecting your performance. When the time comes for performance review, your line manager gives a negative report that your rate of completing tasks. If you're working in an industry that produces matchboxes, you are supposed to produce 100 matchboxes in a day, but they discover that you are producing 50, 70. They see your productivity and your performance is below the expectation. So, and it's because you are very qualified, but because of some of these negative emotional experiences, you are afraid of taking steps. You are afraid of carrying out tasks because you are afraid of failing. So that is why 58% of your performance is determined by the level of your emotional intelligence. The other 27% is determined by your cognitive skills, 15% technical expertise, and also other organizational factors. So emotional intelligence really matters a lot because it determines the relationships you have at work, even at home, even professional relationships, even when you are, it determines the interactions you have with an interviewer. It matters, it affects your decision making under pressure. It determines your adaptability and resilience, even when you fail. These are something that most people have experienced. You go for an interview, you are not selected. You go for another one, you're not selected. You apply for jobs here, now, and there. You are not selected, and then it reaches a point in time whereby you will start giving up. You say, I'm not going to interview. I'm not going to apply for jobs again. I've been applying. I've met very many people. I've been applying, but I'm not getting any jobs. Yeah, that shows there is that negative emotion of disappointment. You are unable to manage it. You are not able to manage that emotion of disappointment. That is why it is pushing you to stop applying for jobs. It is pushing you from stopping. Even some people, even after applying for many jobs and going for very many interviews, and then they are failed or they are not selected. Even later on, when you apply, invite them for an interview, they don't even come because they've already concluded, see, I'm not going to get this thing. I've met people who have had such experiences. So that emotion of disappointment, you're not able to manage it. That shows poor resilience. Negative emotions are getting the better of you. But I hope that is not going to be your case. Also, higher engagement and motivation. The level of your motivation is determined by the level of your emotional intelligence. And also trust, influence, and leadership impact. So, like we said, technical skills get you into the door, but emotional intelligence is what gets you that job. So we are going to look at the 6 emotional intelligence competencies. We are going to do a very short exercise, and then we are going to be on our way. We are going to wrap up. So there are basically 6 emotional intelligence competencies. Yeah, the core emotional intelligence competencies. And when you have it, we say that you are in a productive state. You are very productive. Your actions and your behavior is productive, is bringing good outcomes. When you lack these competencies, you get unproductive or negative outcomes. Okay, so the first emotional intelligence competency is self-awareness. This is the ability to detect, I'm feeling a negative emotion of disappointment that is making me not to apply for jobs. That is called self-awareness. When you have that competency, you say that you are self-aware. You have been applying for jobs, you're not getting invitations, and then there is that feeling that is coming, there's no need to apply for this thing again. Yeah. When you're able to detect that disappointment that is triggering you not to apply for jobs, we say that you are self-aware. When you have it, we say that you are present. You already know what is happening with you. When you don't have it, we say that you're disconnected. Things are emotions. In other words, emotions are controlling you and you don't know. You assume you are in control, but you are not. It is emotions that are controlling you. The other competency is awareness of others. This is the ability to understand the emotions of others. Kama umekosea mtu, whether there are people who unawakosea, but kuna watu unawakosea na hata ujui umewakosea, wewe unaona tu uko sawa. Yeah, it is called awareness of others. If you have it, we say you're empathetic. If you don't have it, we say that you're insensitive. You're just doing things around, haujui unakosea watu. And that ends up damaging their relationships that you're going to have. Sometimes, even when they hear a job interview, they don't even call you because you're insensitive on how your actions affect them. Yeah, that is why we are saying emotional intelligence is a very important skill. That's why most successful people have a high level of emotional intelligence. When they are able to know kama wamekosea mtu, and when they know that, then they can take remedial measures. They can take measures to correct that relationship. Once they've mended that relationship, whenever an opportunity comes, they're called. But because you're not aware of your impact of your behavior on others, even when opportunities show up, they don't call you. Yeah, it is because you lack, not because you're a bad person. Yeah, because everyone at one point in time anakosea mwenzake. But because you don't know, you cannot take measures to correct that situation. Yeah, that is why emotional intelligence affects your success. There is another competency called authenticity. This is the ability to build trustworthy relationships. When you have it, people say, that guy is genuine. If he tells you that he's going to do it, rest assured he's going to do it. I'm sure you've met those people. Yeah. When they promise you something, I'm sure everyone has had that experience. Eh? Someone then they promise you, yeah. But there are those people, when they tell you they are going to do something, you are rest assured they are going to do it. Even if it delays. That shows that they're authentic. There are people who are very good at promising people. And when they're promising you, they're genuine. Yeah. But in reality, they are unable to carry out that task, to carry out that promise. That shows that they are not authentic. Yes, they wish to do the thing they have said, but to carry it out, that is where now the problem is. There's something called the knowing and doing gap. The knowing and doing gap. You might know that you're supposed to do something, but it's a totally different thing again to do it. Yeah. So when you don't have authenticity, you're untrustworthy. Emotional reasoning is another competency. This is the ability to use emotional signals to make decisions. I like giving the example of a football team. Sometimes you hear, for example, the president can say, we are playing Nigeria tomorrow. Everyone who scores, I'm going to give you 1 million Kenya shillings. That is a person who's limited in their thinking. What are the chances of a goalkeeper scoring? So the goalkeeper anaona wengine watapewa 1 million, alafu mimi sitawahi pata kitu, sioni nikipata kitu. Atajaribu kuacha goal post in an attempt to go and score. Na akikimbia kutaka kwenda score, he's leaving the goalpost open. Alafu yeah. But if you have this competence of emotional reasoning, you're able to take care of the entire team. Now you can say, when you win this game, everyone is going to get 1 million. So people now, the goalkeeper is going to make sure hakuna bao itaingia hapa. Okay, strikers are going to make sure they score. Midfielders are going to make sure they give their best. Yeah, that is because of this competency of emotional reasoning. Self-management. Now, these are very important emotion. A very important competency is the ability to control your emotions. Yeah, even the negative ones. When you feel like giving up, you just say, no, I'm going to go on. That shows you are resilient if you have it. If you don't have it, you are temperamental. Hasira ikikuja, you just react. They control you. But I hope that is not going to be a case. And then positive influence. When you have it, you're able to empower people. If you don't have it, you are indifferent. So we are going to look at the first competency of self-awareness. I'm trying to go as fast as we can. So forgive me if I rush, because we are short of time. We are going to look at the first competence of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness. It is once you cannot have these other emotional competencies, and if you don't have self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation. This is the ability to identify positive and negative emotions that you're experiencing, and understanding how they affect your behavior and your actions, and also your decisions. Yeah. So these are some of the questions that you can use to help you understand, to help to be able to recognize the emotions that you are feeling. That is the first step to becoming emotionally intelligent, is by having self-awareness, right? So this is called the self-reflection exercise. What emotion did I experience most today? I think that's a question that I can pose to the audience. Just what was the strongest emotion that you experienced today in the morning or during the day? You can just put it in the chat. We want to see how many people are self-aware. If you are aware, then you can be able to control it. Yeah, so you can just mention it on the.
I think, Shamiron,
Yes,
I think you are muted.
I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
You can hear me now.
yes, we can.
Okay, let me just try to rush. So I was just asking a question. How many of you are able to identify an emotion they experienced today? In the morning on your way to work, during or during the day, interacting with various people. Are you able just put it on the chat? The emotion, the strongest emotion that you felt today. Are you aware? Were you aware of it or not? If my greatest emotion, Mercy, was gratitude, especially for the little random things such as health. That is good. Frustration. Nancy is saying they were frustrated. Anyone else? We are just trying to look at the level of your self-awareness. For Nancy, if you are aware that you are frustrated, then you can be able now to control it. Calm, Winnie is saying they were calm. That is impatient. That is a very good example. You felt impatient, that you are able to recognize that. That is a very good sign. Joy and optimism. Thank you very much, Prince. Disappointment. Karen, sorry you felt disappointed, but once you are aware of that, then you can be able to shape your the outcomes. Someone is already asking a question there. I think we are going to give an opportunity to Sheila to ask towards the end of the session. She is saying determined, Winnie, demoralized. That is very good because you are now aware of those feelings. Now you can be able to change those feelings. You can now make a decision. I'm not going to be demoralized. I'm going to go forward. Yeah, I'm not going to enter into that interview demoralized. I'm going to make an attempt to change it. As one saying, I felt undermined. Sorry for that you felt that, but hopefully you are going to learn, get skills on how to manage that. All right. Thank you very much. For the sake of time, so what triggered it? That's another very good question you might want to ask, especially for those who had uh, negative emotional experience. Are you able to know what triggered it? The one who's undermined, you can tell us. The one who's demoralized, you can tell us. Someone was frustrated. I'm going to work with those people who are giving negative emotions because we are trying to learn how to manage this. I felt understood. Martha is saying that. I think that's okay. That triggered perhaps a positive emotion they had. Looking at as one, those who were saying they were frustrated, disappointed, demoralized. What could have triggered? Do you know what triggered it? Identify the event or thought or situation that triggered it. Impatient, delays in submitting info after a month. Okay, you did your best, but you're not getting the results you wanted. So another question I will ask, for example, for Jane, you felt impatient. How did you respond? How did it affect your behavior? That is another question that I might want to ask. This is basically the exercise of building self-awareness. Are you aware how it affected your behavior? That is the question. Yes, you felt impatient. There was a delay. It was not your mistake. It was someone else's mistake. But are you aware how it affected your behavior? Now we are getting into the thick of emotional intelligence. Are you aware how it affected your behavior? Canceling the long-awaited plan. Oh, there was a canceling, or there was an event that you are long-awaited and it was cancelled. Okay, I hope that is, I'm getting you well. I lost some trust on person and did the task on my own. Aha, classic case of a lack of authenticity. Assignment I was given, I successfully completed it, but my boss did not acknowledge my efforts. Common experience in the workplace, very, very common. Now the question is, how did it impact Winnie after if not feeling acknowledged? Do you know how it affected your behavior? What was the outcome of feeling unacknowledged? That is the next question towards the end of this exercise. How did it affect your, how did you respond? Were you happy? Were you sad? For example, Winnie, did you say that, sitajitolea tena kufanya job, I want to go the extra mile to do that job? How did it affect? How did you feel and how did it affect your behavior? You can just put it on the chat. Are you aware? This is now we are in the thick of self-awareness. Do you know how it affected you? Yeah. You are disappointed. Did you quarrel someone? Did you lash out at someone? Are you aware of that? Yeah, we are looking at the competency of self-awareness and awareness of others. Now you'll discover that in most cases you end up, for example, those negative experiences, you ended up having you ended up reacting negatively. And that negative reaction could have affected the relationship or the outcome that you had. Also, what impact did I have on others? How did your response have on others? Are you aware of that? I didn't show up to work today. That is Winnie. Was that an outcome of not feeling acknowledged? Okay, I really understand that pain. Yes, super. You gave your best, but you didn't felt you are not acknowledged. It ended up affecting your behavior. Yeah, it ended up affecting. Hopefully you got permission not to go to work. Otherwise, if you didn't get permission, you see now it can begin to affect your career. What will you have done differently next time? Are you proud of yourself, Winnie, for not showing up to work? How will you have done it differently? Yeah, because now perhaps because of that negative experience, you feel like you're not going to give your best. By not giving up your best, will it affect your career? Do you think it will affect your career? Do you think it will affect your relationships with your colleagues, your boss? Yeah. How will it affect your mobility or promotions that might come? Because if it negatively affects your relationship with your boss, should a promotion come, that negative relationship can have an impact on your career. I don't know how to handle it, of course. But now this is the first step of handling it. You already know you are feeling, you had a negative emotion. You already now know how it affected you negatively. You didn't show up to work. That the negative comment reaction felt let down, but I'm working towards being excellent. That is very awesome. Caroline Aswan, thank you very much for those comments. Now, I would like to tell you that being aware of the negative emotion you felt, what triggered it, how you responded, the impact you had on others, and what you could have done differently. Yeah, you already know the outcome. Now, do you know the outcome of that negative relationship now that you are not recognized? Yeah, are you aware how it will negatively affect the relationship that you have with your boss? And are you aware of how it can affect your performance reviews? Yeah, for example, for those who are in HR, wataanza kusema huyu kila saa akikuwa triggered kidogo akuji job the next day. You know, there are now some HR, they begin to pick those signals. Yeah, whenever you face some setback in the workplace, you don't show up to work. That shows resilience levels they need to be worked on. Yeah, because for you to be successful people are those people who continue to push on even in the face of setbacks. So, but self-awareness is the first step is the foundation towards becoming emotional intelligent, understanding how your emotions affect your decisions, your behavior, and also your performance. Thank you very much. So yeah, as I'm going to wrap up, I think because of time, I'm going to skip this slide. And I'd just like to point out there, the good thing is that emotional intelligence is a skill that can be learned. Yeah, ability to become resilient in the face of challenges, ability to manage those negative emotions that are affecting our careers, our employability. It is a skill that you can learn. And if you learn these skills, if you're in sales, you're going to discover your sales revenues are going high. If you are if you're someone who's wishing to progress your career, you can use emotional intelligence to have effective. You can use emotional intelligence to influence positive outcomes that affect your career. There's this program we have, the applied emotional intelligence, that comes with an emotional intelligence assessment. It's an online course and it is self-paced. You do it at your self-paced if you're employed. It is a skill that once you master it, you can learn how to influence people. And if you learn to influence people, then you can use it to build your career. So I've come to the end. Sorry for because of time. I don't know if I can take one question. Sheila, I don't know if you can read. There's one question someone posted somewhere.
Yes,
Don't know if I can try to locate it.
yes, I can read it out. So
Yeah.
there's a question from Osano. He has three questions. So the first one is how to objectively measure whether our emotional intelligence is improving. So that's the first question. The second question is can someone have a high emotional intelligence but still be a poor leader? And the third one is the biggest mistake candidates make in interviews, even when they are technically qualified.
All right. Yeah. You can determine whether your level of emotional intelligence has improved. We have the emotional intelligence assessment. It's an online assessment that you're able to do. And the results will definitely show if there's an improvement. In fact, in most of our trainings, we do an assessment before and after the training to demonstrate a behavioral change. So we have assessments that are able to measure, psychologically approved assessments that are able to measure. I'm yet to see a successful leader who has low emotional intelligence. And if you are in the world of HR, leaders who have a low level of emotional intelligence, those organizations, they are very toxic. They are not very productive. Okay, they could be productive, but they are not utilizing the growth opportunities that they have if they were to have high level of emotional intelligence. You'll discover there's high turnover, there's high absenteeism, because a leader who has a low level of emotional intelligence is someone who's not aware when they have a negative impact on you. I gave you that example of the teacher who you don't like most in your school, in your high school. Yeah, you already see the impact they had. You are distracted during that lesson. You are not able to, even if you look at yourself, that teacher you didn't like, most likely you failed. You failed in that. If you passed, let me know. But if you, most likely you failed. And that is the same impact low emotional intelligence leader has on the team they are leading. Most likely the team is not going to succeed in that role because their behavior is having an impact. I've just the example of our sister who was not appreciated by the boss. What happened? They didn't show up the next day. If they didn't show up the next day, it means for that organization their productivity that day had went down. If that lady, sorry, I've forgotten your name, if it was a matchbox company, I like using matchbox company. If every day you produce 100 matchboxes, but because you are not appreciated the previous day when you made 200 matchboxes, you decided not to show up the next day. That shows in that day that company did not make 100 matchboxes. So you can see it is affecting the company performance. Yeah, because your behavior has an impact on the performance of your team. I just repeat the last question, please. Sheila?
The last question is the biggest mistake candidates make in interviews, even when they are technically qualified.
Even when they're technically qualified.
Yeah.
I will say for me, I would say is a lack of self-belief, according to me. This is something that is affecting a lot of people, is affecting careers. People need to learn how to believe in themselves. That is what we call having a growth mindset, ability to believe, a positive mindset, a winning mindset. Let me call it a winning mindset. The ability to believe in yourself. That is one of the things. Because once you have that, even if you don't have the skills, you can ace that job. Yeah. So for me, I will call that. And of course, that lack of self-belief, of course, it has an emotional root into it. And that is why they are emotional intelligence is a very important skill that gives you the skill of dealing with such saboteurs of your career. So over to you, Sheila. I'm going to. Is there a boundary for empathy? For me, empathy in the professional aspect, empathy is a very powerful tool. And if you look at the top, the World Economic Forum, they have given a list of the most powerful and future-ready skills, the most skills that are going to be sought after in this coming decade. One of them they have given is empathy. Empathy has an ability to influence people. I cannot go into the deep down. I cannot go into the neuroscience of it. But when you're empathetic, it has an effect on someone's mind, and it changes how they are going to interact with you. So my question is, where I've seen empathy, I've seen positive outcomes. So that's how I will answer that question. Even from the work environment where I am, I've not seen. Of course, you need to be assertive. Of course, you need to be assertive. But the impact of empathy as well has been positive, according to what I've seen. When you're empathetic, you are able to influence other people, even to see your side of things, even to see your plight. It can help you also in becoming assertive. So thank you very much, Sheila. I don't want to overtake the time. In case anyone has a question, my number is there. We can always link up. I'm always available on WhatsApp. Sheila, over to you.
Thank you, Shamiron. Let's give a round of applause, a reaction to Shamiron. I think there's something you've gotten out of today's conversation. And I think for me, I don't know what you've picked out today, but for me is your emotional intelligence plays a very, very huge role beyond your technical skills. So thank you so much, Shamiron. Thank you for the questions. We really appreciate. And I think we've all seen, yeah. So what will you be doing with this information that you've gotten today? Are you going to work? And we've been told emotional intelligence, you can work, you can work on it, yeah. So it's something that you can learn. So are you taking that step? So thank you so much, Shim. We really appreciate for the session, and we'll be calling you again for part 3. So thank you so much for joining. I know time is so much spent, but it's for a good cause. So thank you also for just sticking by till now. We do not take it for granted. And as we end the session, don't forget that immediately, if you want to have a recap of today's session, just feel free to visit our YouTube channel and get the review. So immediately in the next 15 minutes, we'll have posted it on our YouTube channel. So feel free to go and rewatch the session. So thank you so much. Have a lovely night. Maybe we can get a volunteer to close us off with a word of prayer. Any volunteer? Okay. Thank you so much, Grace. Great lessons I have picked. Karibu sana. So let's bow ahead for a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you. We want to thank you for the amazing session we've had, and we pray that whatever we've learned, may it grow and may we be able to apply it in our lives, Almighty Father God. We pray for our speaker, continue blessing him, continue using him, Almighty Father God. And thank you for Jay, and thank you for enabling him to create this space so that we can learn one or two things that can be able or benefit us in our career journey. We thank you and we honor you in the mighty name of Jesus. We pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, amen.